of just admitting that forthrightly and doing something about it, you parade it as a moral virtue. The other thing a woman doesn't want, and no men really want to have around either, is a man who's actually weak and unskilled, who pretends to be moral and kind, not only to cozy up to women, but also to parade his weakness as moral virtue. I'm not the mean guy, I'm not the bad guy. Well, the reason for that is you're too goddamn weak to manage that. And instead of just admitting that forthrightly and doing something about it, you parade it as a moral virtue. The other thing a woman doesn't want.
All right, fam, this is pretty good. Just some differences between men and women, and they're true. So take a listen.
There's only two reasons that men and women differ. One is cultural, and the other is biological. And if you minimize the cultural differences, you maximize the biological differences. So I know everyone's shocked when they hear this. This isn't shocking news. People have known this in the scientific community for at least 25 years. And it's been replicated in the last month 3 times in 3 separate samples, including in Science, which is the world's greatest scientific magazine by a large margin. And it isn't a small effect, it's a huge effect. So, for example, on average, men are more interested in things and women are more interested in people. And that's actually the biggest difference we know of psychologically between men and women. So you imagine that in order to become an engineer, look, obviously not everyone becomes an engineer. You have to have a particular temperamental proclivity to become an engineer. You have to be extraordinarily interested in things rather than people. Well, most of those people are men. And if you want to become a nurse, well, then you have to be much more interested in people than you are in things. And most of those people are women because there's no.
I get that. He said men are mostly interested in things, and women are mostly interested in people. He gave the great example of being an engineer. Then you have to have an interest in things, engineering, machinery, parts, things. Whereas women lean more towards people. They're more interested in people. So they get into nursing. So most of those occupations are occupied by women. And that makes sense to me. Makes a lot of sense. So just food for thought. Enjoy your day.
Very helpful for people to hear that they should make themselves competent and dangerous and take their proper place in the world.
Competent and dangerous? Why dangerous?
Because it's the alternative to being weak. And weak is not good. The people who shoot up the high schools, they're weak. They're weak.
How is it good to be dangerous?
Because it makes you formidable. And life is a very difficult process. You're not prepared for it unless you have the capacity to be dangerous. That doesn't mean that you should be cruel. It doesn't mean any of that. There's a statement in the New Testament, the meek shall inherit the earth. But the meek isn't well translated. It means something more like those who have swords and know how to use them but keep them sheathed will inherit the world. That's a way better way of thinking about it. It's very helpful for people to hear that they should make themselves calm.
I was asked one time about, do I want to go to heaven? And I kind of jokingly said, I'm not going to heaven. And they stepped back like, wow, why would you say that? I said, because I'm the meek. And they looked at me all crazy like, oh, because it says, no, the meek will inherit the earth. So I told people I'm not living my life to try to get to heaven. I live my life to be meek. And he just explained what that meant. It's not a weak person. It's a person who has a sword and prepared to use it, but it keeps it sheathed, meaning keeps it put up. So I just wanted to share that because they was like shocked. But the Bible clearly says the meek will inherit the earth. So that letting you know right there, everybody's not going to heaven. So don't worry with it. Enjoy your day.